teaching the Dhamma, because when you teach the Dhamma, you have to contemplate the Dhamma, and before you can put it into words, you have to understand. So, teaching the third is when you repeat the Dhamma. During the Buddha's time, they had no books, so they had to repeat the Dhamma. The more you repeat the Dhamma, the more you understand, because it's in the local language. So it's the same nowadays as with studying the suttas. The more you study the suttas, the more times you understand. And the fourth is when you reflect on the Dhamma that you have heard, reflect and you understand better. And only the fifth occasion is during meditation. So you see, out of the 5 occasions, a person becomes liberated. 4 of them have to do with the Dhamma. So that is right recollection. By the way, this right recollection is actually vipassana. In the Buddha's earliest discourses, vipassana was not something to do with meditation. It was not meditation. It was contemplating these 4 things, that is vipassana. Then that is samasati. And then samasati and satipatthana is a bit different. Satipatthana, my translation, is intense state of sati. Because there is a simile, there's some analogy given in the suttas on how to practice satipatthana. And the implication is that when you practice satipatthana, it is one pointed attention on one object, unmoving attention on one object all the time. And when you practice satipatthana, it must lead you to the jhanas. If you don't attain the jhanas from practicing satipatthana, you are not practicing satipatthana correctly. This you can understand from the Satipatthana Samyutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. There are many suttas there dealing with Satipatthana. So when you practice Satipatthana, it leads you to the 8th factor, which is right concentration. Right concentration in the suttas is always defined as the 4 jhanas. In the Majjhima Nikaya, whenever Ananda was asked what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha, and he said the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. In other words, only this is Buddhist meditation. If you practice meditation and it does not lead you to the jhanas, it is not Buddhist meditation. In the suttas, the Buddha said, the footsteps for the Buddha are the jhanas. The jhanas are the way to liberation. But our people, they don't understand the state of jhana. So they don't see why jhana is so important. I will tell you, because what is liberation? What is enlightenment? An arahant is called a kina sava, one who has destroyed the asavas. What is asava? Asava, the literal translation of asava is leakage, outflows, leaking. So it's actually the leakage of the mind. So asavas to me are uncontrolled mental outflows, basically the flow of consciousness. Because when the 6 consciousness flows, the seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, etc., it creates the world. The world only exists in consciousness. If there's no consciousness, there's no world. So as long as consciousness flows, this samsara will continue forever. So to stop this samsara, the round of rebirths, you have to stop the flow of consciousness. And you can only achieve this in the state of jhana. When a person attains one-pointedness of mind, the mind is so focused that the consciousness does not flow uncontrolled. It is totally controlled. In the first jhana, the Buddha says, a person still has skillful thoughts, but not unskillful thoughts. In other words, when you achieve the first jhana, you don't think of worldly things. You might think, I attained this state, this great state. I must remember how to repeat the steps I took to achieve this state. That kind of thoughts of me. And then when a person attains the second jhana, the mind is so focused that the thoughts cannot arise at all. The state of Aryan silence. So if you can achieve jhana, you can stop the asavas, at least for that duration you are in jhana. So jhana is not an easy state to achieve. You need a lot of effort because it's not a natural state. So in the beginning when you achieve, for example, the first jhana, you're not going to be able to stay there for long. Very soon I get kicked out of it. It's just like, actually the ocean is a very good simile for our mind. You know, the ocean is very deep, but we only use the surface of the ocean. The ships only ply on the surface of the ocean. Yeah, It's difficult to go into the deep ocean. If you take a ping pong ball, you put it into the water and you let go, it will be pushed out, right? So to go deeper, you need a very strong submarine. The deeper you want to go, the stronger the submarine has to be. Otherwise, when it goes deep down, it gets crushed, right? So it's the same with our mind. It's difficult to go into our mind, We only use the surface of our mind. And using the surface of mind means seeing, hearing, smelling, taste and touch. We are only on the surface of our mind. So when we meditate now, when we do samatha meditation, we are trying to go deep into our mind. But it's not easy. Each time we go in, it pushes us out. Goes in, it pushes us out, yeah? So you need a lot of practice, slowly, then only you get this first jhana, and slowly you keep attain the higher jhanas, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper into your mind. And why these jhanas also are so important, besides the fact that you stop the outflows? Because, let me finish, because when you are able to stop the outflows for a certain period, at least you can eliminate the outflows for that period you are in jhana. And slowly, with a bit of more kung fu, you prolong that period longer and longer and longer. But at least you can prolong it for 1 hour or 2 hours or a few hours or a few days. Then you have the hope of stopping it forever. If you cannot even stop it for 1 or 2 hours, how can you have ever any hope of stopping it forever? Yeah. That's why the Buddha in the suttas, Ananda said, the type of meditation not praised by the Buddha is the type of meditation where the 5 hindrances are not eliminated. The 5 hindrances are only eliminated when a person attains the jhanas. That is quite clear from the suttas. So if you don't attain the jhanas, whatever type of meditation you practice, and you can't attain the jhanas, that means your mind is still flowing, consciousness is flowing all the time. Although, for example, some people say they are practicing bare awareness. It's not actually bare awareness. You're trying to see without thinking, but the mind is thinking all the time. It can only stop thinking when you attain one pointedness of mind. So that's how important the jhanas are. Also, when you attain a state of jhana and then you withdraw from that jhana, your mind is very still. If you attain the first jhana and you come out of the first jhana, the mind is still and devoid of the 5 hindrances. And then when you contemplate, you have a much higher wisdom than a person who has not attained the state of jhana. But when you attain the second jhana and you come out of it, the mind is even more still. And when you contemplate, the clarity is even better. You can see visually more better. So the Buddha says the best is when you attain the 4th jhana. When you attain the 4th jhana and you come out of it, the Buddha says when you contemplate, you can understand everything. But the 4th jhana is a very deep state, very difficult to achieve. It's so deep that when you attain the state of the 4th jhana, even the breathing stops. So that is the 8th factor. Finally, I just want to say that these 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path sometimes can be said to be 3 things: Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila part is right speech, right action and right livelihood. Just now I mentioned that right speech consists of 4 precepts, right? Right action consists of 3 precepts. Right livelihood actually does not incorporate any precept. Yeah. So the sila or Aryan sila consisting of these 3 factors actually consists of 7 precepts. 4 verbal precepts and 3 bodily precepts. So if you keep 7 precepts, you have Aryan Sila. That is the basic that anybody who wants to become an Arya has to uphold the 7 precepts. That's why in the suttas we find that when the Buddha first taught the Sila, he asked the disciples to keep 7 precepts only. Also, the next thing I like to say, in the suttas, the Buddha says, the Sotapanna and the Sakadagamin, the first and the second fruition Arya, has a perfect sila. The Anagamin has perfect sila and perfect samadhi. And the Arahant has perfect sila, samadhi and panya. In other words, the Anagamin and Arahant, because they possess perfect samadhi, Anagamin and Arahants must have 4 jhanas. The Sotapanna does not need any jhana, but the difference between the Sotapanna and the Sakadagamin is that the Sakadagamin has reduced greed, hatred and delusion. For a person to reduce greed, hatred and delusion, he needs a certain amount of samadhi. But this samadhi is not perfect samadhi. That means samadhi is short of the 4 jhanas. So it can be upachara samadhi, threshold concentration, or first jhana, or second jhana, or third jhana, or the Sakadagamin. So I'll stop here. Invite discussion.
Even the first jhana sounds so profoundly remote. Like, can you give us some tips?
This state of jhana, as I mentioned, is going into the mind. So, for you to be able to do that, you have to let go of the worldly desires. When we enjoy worldly desires, we are excited. Our feelings, our emotions fluctuate. Because most people like that. But the spiritual path is the opposite. You have to calm yourselves and to let go. During the Buddha's time, there were some lay people who managed to achieve the 4 jhanas and become anagamin. But when we look into the lives of these lay people, they were like hermits in their own home, like monastics. For example, there's one layman. When he decided to practice the holy path, he called his 4 wives and told them that he was going to lead this spiritual life. And he told them that if any one of them want to marry somebody else, he will give them away. So the first wife immediately said that she wanted to marry such and such a person. So he called for this person and gave the wife away. Then after that, all his family business he handed over to the wives. And he didn't want to take part in it. So for him, his room became like a cave. He spent all his time in his room, no more interested in worldly things, and he practiced meditation all the time. That's the way. That's the reason why we announce. If we can enjoy life and achieve all the jhanas, why am I so stupid to renounce?
to achieve Arahantship, he said, we can listen to Dhamma, teach Dhamma. So not just go to jhana way. Is that correct? That means we got another path for lay people.
But just now I just mentioned that Anagamins and Arahants, they have perfect samadhi, which means the four jhanas. Only when you have the four jhanas and you listen to the Dhamma, you can attain Arahanthood. If you don't have that foundation of the four jhanas, no hope. But don't be so ambitious, 3 entry is enough.
Ananda mentioned that 3 ways of going to enlightenment. One is first by vipassana, then followed by samatha. Another one is samatha first, then vipassana comes. And third is both together.
This sutta, after the Buddha had passed away, when the monks and nuns attained Arahanthood, they would come and inform Venerable Ananda. When the Buddha was alive, when anyone became an Arahant, they would inform the Buddha. But after the Buddha passed away, they came to inform Ananda. Why? Because Ananda was a very popular monk. He was a gentleman, not like Venerable Mahakassapa. Even though Venerable Mahakassapa was also an Arahant, he was quite coarse in his speech, very blunt. So in this sutta, Venerable Ananda said, all the monks and nuns who attained Arahanthood and came to tell him, he said all of them attained Arahanthood by one of 4 methods, not 3. One is samatha first, followed by vipassana. Second is vipassana, followed by samatha. Third is samatha and vipassana together. The fourth is contemplating internally, bringing the mind inwards and contemplating until the mind becomes one-pointed. Then he will know the way. So the first one is samatha, followed by vipassana, means person attains the 4 jhanas and then contemplates the 4 objects of sati, and the most important of which is the Dhamma. If a person has attained the 4 jhanas and he contemplates the words of the Buddha in the suttas, that the person can become an Arahant. The second method is to practice vipassana followed by samatha. In other words, you study the suttas first. Of course, you can contemplate the other things like your body, contemplate your feelings, contemplate your mind. But most importantly, to study the suttas. So after you study the suttas, that is vipassana, and then you practice until you attain the 4 jhanas. When you attain the 4 jhanas and you reflect back on the suttas you have studied, then you can attain Arahanthood. The third one is to practice samatha and vipassana together. For example, this contemplation on the 32 parts of the body, you chant the 32 parts of the body, and then you reflect on the 32 parts of the body. You do it. This one type of meditation where both samatha and vipassana is together. Or at the same time that you learn meditation, you practice meditation, at the same time you are studying the Buddha's words. So you have these 2 things together. That's why I always say the spiritual path, these 2 factors are most important. One is to study the Buddha's words or listen to the Dhamma, which is based on the Buddha's words, and practicing samatha meditation to focus your mind so that you can understand the suttas much better. So you do these 2 things at the same time, that is the third method. And the fourth method is to bring your mind inwards. How to bring your mind inwards? Suppose you close your eyes and you imagine one day you're going to die. Actually your body is going to die. Okay? So suppose your body is dead. Then you ask yourself, am I around? As long as your consciousness is there, you will still say, I exist, isn't it? I I'm here, isn't it? So the source of that I, that self, is actually that consciousness, that awareness in you, that awareness that makes you know I am here, right? So you bring your mind to that source of your awareness. This meditation is found in Zen Buddhism. It's also found in Jnana Yoga. In Zen Buddhism, we have this Chinese koan, 我是谁? Who am I? Yeah. Last time I was practicing Mahayana Buddhism for 9 years. And my teacher always told us to contemplate 我是谁, but he didn't tell us properly how to contemplate 我是谁. So I kept thinking, who am I, who am I, who am I? Year after year, I make no progress. It's not the who that is important, it's the I, that awareness, that I. As long as you're aware, I am here, you just be aware that I am here. When you're aware I am here, the mind does not stray, the mind does not wander. If you have stray thoughts, 打妄想, you'll be thinking of this, you'll be thinking of that. You forgot that you're sitting here in meditation. Yeah. The moment you remember I am here sitting in meditation, you come back to the here and now. You're no more thinking, you're not having stray thoughts. Yeah. So you keep remembering I am here, just remember that I am here. Slowly, your mind will become focused. When your mind becomes focused, you keep watching that I, that awareness, and then you try to find where is that source of that awareness. You go into your mind, where is that source of this knowing?
Jhana. Is it only the Buddhists can go to jhana? In the text, in the Buddhist text, there's this Alara Kalama and the Uddaka Ramabuddha. These are two ascetics during the Buddha's time who were supposed to have attained 7 and the 8th jhana, the Arutha jhana. So we Buddhists, I don't think you can say that the jhanas are only attainable by Buddhists. Because from the history of the Buddhist teachings,
Yes.
the jhanas are also attained by the Brahmanas.
Yes. Okay. I did not say that only Buddhists practice the jhanas. I said the other thing. I said that the Buddha's meditation are the jhanas. These jhanas are practiced by many people who do meditation. And some people wonder why Alara Kalama and Uddaka Ramaputta, even though they attain high stages of jhana, they did not become enlightened. Very simple, because they didn't hear the Dhamma. To become enlightened, you need to practice 8 factors of the Noble Path, all 8 factors. If you practice only one, right concentration, how can you attain enlightenment? Yeah. But it does not mean that Alara Kalama did not become enlightened, that the jhanas are not important because they are one of the 8 factors. It's just like in the Noble Eightfold Path, you have right speech and right action, which is Sila. Okay? So Sila is not only practiced by Buddhists, Sila is also practiced by Muslims, by Hindus, by Christians. They also have Sila. And why don't they become enlightened? Because Sila by itself cannot bring you to enlightenment. Yeah? You have got to have all the 8 factors. So in the same way, the The jhanas is only part of the 8 factors. It's not the whole thing. But it is a necessary condition, just like sila is a necessary condition. When the Buddha was enlightened, the first person he wanted to teach was his 2 meditation teachers, Lara Kalama and Udakarama Buddha. It is mentioned in the Vinaya books. Because he thought to himself, these 2 teachers of his, their minds are so clear. If he taught them the Dhamma immediately, they would understand. Unfortunately, they had passed away. The Devas came to tell the Buddha. Now I ask you, the 2 teachers had died and gone to the heavens. Why didn't the Buddha go there and teach them?
I don't know. Thank you for your answer. Thank you very much.
You know why? Because that's why you need to study the suttas. All the answers are in the sutta. In the suttas, the Buddha said, he was asked by Venerable Ananda, is it true, Bhagavan, your physical body can fly to heaven? The Buddha said, yes. When he meditates and his mind is focused and the body becomes very light, when he wills, immediately he flies up. And he says that the physical body can fly as far as the Brahma world. That's the maximum. I can't go beyond that. And the second jhana heaven is much further. And the third jhana is much further, very, very far away. So that's why he could not go and teach his teacher. Okay, we have to end here because of our meal time. Yeah, we think of all beings. Rejoice with all beings. Please repeat after me. Itavata Chapam Hehi Sambatang Punya Sampadang Sabe Deva Sabe Buddha Sabe Satta Anumodantu Sabha Sampati Sindhya Sadhu Sadhu. We have brought some CDs and books. Please take them if you're interested. And our website is on our books and CDs, so you can go to our website to find more about our Vihara Buddha Gautama. And if you're interested to come for a retreat, you're welcome to come to our forest monastery. It's a bit quiet there. We've been there 11 years and we heard the sound of the tiger 3 times.